All right, speaking of kind of cool, here's the opposite of cool, the New York Jets, who have been, Rob, just a flat-out comedy of errors this season ever since Aaron Rodgers got hurt. So, Rob G, now we talked about it a little bit yesterday, all types of news circulating about Zach Wilson and does he or does he not want to play. And Rob G, kind of summarize this for us and then take us to some sound from Aaron Rodgers.
Sure. So this all popped off yesterday when the Athletics' Diana Rossini and Zach Rosenblatt reported that the Jets want to make another switch at quarterback, and their hope was to bring Zach Wilson back under center. However, according to the Athletic, Wilson was reluctant to step back in because he was concerned about potential injury risks. That's what their report was. Robert Saleh addressed the report. Actually, the report leaked in the middle of his press conference, which was kind of fascinating. So he addressed it immediately during the press conference.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You're doing the press conference.
Did he look comfortable?
No, he tried to shoot it down immediately. He even said on the record, if he was reluctant to play, guys, he would not be here, right? Shot it down. And then, which is kind of funny, later on that afternoon, had his weekly radio show with Michael Kay on ESPN New York Radio, and he did admit that it's, quote, conceivable that Wilson told someone in the Jets organization that he was reluctant to return to the lineup. And so, but he wouldn't hold that against him if that was the case, because it was a private conversation. Well, today, Aaron Rodgers made his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show, and he was not happy with the report, number one. And number two, the fact that it got leaked to the public. Take a listen.
When you use sources and try to assassinate someone's character like that report does for Zach, I have a real hard time with that. I mean, you're basically saying that this kid is quitting on the team and doesn't want to play and has given the middle finger to the organization. What is your impetus? What is your motivation to try and bury someone like that? And that's a problem with the organization. You know, we need to get to the bottom of whatever this is coming from and put a stop to it privately, because there's no place in a winning culture where, and this is not the only time, there's been a bunch of other leaks. I think it's at its core, and I think it has no place in a winning organization to be a source on it, especially not if you're going to assassinate somebody's character, and especially not when it's someone that I really love and care about, like Zach Wilson.
All right, Rob, we talked yesterday. Remember, I brought this up that, man, our job was getting sources, so great job from all the reporters that were out there getting this information. Aaron Rodgers, his anger should not be at the reporters. They're doing their job, and they're not trying to assassinate his character. They're just trying to tell you what's going on with the Jets.
Right, but
if he wants to be angry, it should be with whoever leaked it from the organization. If anybody.
Right, but I didn't hear that. I thought it was about the reporters. He was talking about in the organization.
Well, initially he started with the reporters, and then he went.
Yeah, the reporters have nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's the old.
Or right,
kill the messenger. You know what I mean? Like that has nothing to do with it. And I will tell anybody, Aaron Rodgers and everybody else included, Chris, some of the greatest journalism in American history were unnamed sources. Okay.
Oh yeah, of course.
So don't that.
Because you're only going to get the truth in some situations.
Exactly. We don't just grant it to everybody and anybody. Like, that's how you get information sometimes, and people can't give up who they are. Now, if you have a leak or a mole, as we used to call them in Detroit, Chris, a mole or whatever, that's something for an organization to hunt out. And we've seen that happen. I've seen PR people and whatnot get fired when they feel like they, Chris, have leaked stuff to people. Stuff all the time happens, and there are leaks, but that's inside the organization, not the reporter's fault.
Yeah, look, if I was Zach Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, he said he's close with Zach. I would be upset. Like I said, great job by the reporters, but if I was one of them, I would be like, man. And now it depends on how everything went down. I mean, was he open? Was Zach Wilson openly talking about, man, shoot, I don't even want to get out there with that offensive line anymore.
Right, I might get crushed.
Him talking out in the open? I doubt it, but if that were the case and somebody leaked it to the media, that's one thing. But if he went to people, Rob, in confidence, an assistant coach, maybe the QB, Nat Hackett or a QB coach or, one of the front office members he feels he has a rapport with and can be a confidant. And they turned around and leaked it. Again, great for the reporters, but I get it. I'd be mad too if I was Zach or Rodgers in this situation. And Rob, I also think this was kind of Rodgers dropping the hammer because, we saw the report last week about Robert Saleh, Nat Hackett, and Joe Douglas, the GM, being safe as far as their jobs because Aaron Rodgers wants them back. So I think Aaron was like, I'm sure he knows about that report too. And so this was him also maybe sending a message, to the organization, like, don't let me find out who it was because you'll be gone.
And he's right. I mean, it can make people feel like you quit on the team and you don't want to play and all that. That's very serious.
Exactly,
so I do get that. It does. It's not.
I don't think a reporter was trying to do that.
No.
But
because it's not a column where somebody's writing that. That would be one thing. This is a report that somebody in the organization, someone that you have a dealings with and you respect and you believe it. Chris, you worked at a major newspaper, at the greatest newspaper in the world, the New York Times. They don't allow you just to, I got a source and I'm going to write this or whatever. What? Where are we getting this from?
Right,
they got to believe in you that you got somebody who's giving you information. Not just any and every old thing can be not sourced and written in a paper because there are ramifications.
Rob, the way that they have handled this, I mean, you and I disagree. You think they never should have even gone into the season with Zach Wilson.
Well, I just didn't feel like Chris, and you know where I was. I never thought he was going to play well. I know people were like, give him a chance. And this,
that's where I was. I'm like,
right,
look, I'm
but
not
I just
giving
didn't
up on
think
the
so.
second
You know
pick
what I
that
mean?
quickly.
I just didn't think he was.
But once he showed after a few games, they were fortunate, Rob. They actually won some games even as he was playing badly.
Right.
But once he showed that he couldn't really play well, that's when, the Carson Wentz was out there. We heard it from Ephraim earlier. Jameis Winston may have been able to be, a trade, somebody you trade for. Joshua Dobbs even. Jacoby Brissett, because you have gotten him. Who knows? But, Rob, their season, look at the AFC. You got teams that are 6-6. Heck, even 5-7 are still alive.
And blame the Jets for
Jets,
that.
Granted, they only had 7. What are they? 4. What are the Jets? 4-8.
Yeah,
they're pretty much done. But if they had a competent quarterback, Rob,
they probably could. Chris, they could be 6-6. If they had a good quarterback because of the defense, they probably would have won 2 games that they lost.
If not, and they may have even been above 500. And that is on them. And now, look, once you decided you were sticking with Zach, Rob, then as far as I'm concerned, you should have just stuck with him. And I know he looked horrible, but go to Tim Boyle?
And
like
Chris,
you and I said, how is this dude even in the NFL?
How?
He's
nobody
friends with
else?
Aaron Rodgers, we know that.
Right.
But come on. The dude, he couldn't play in college. He wasn't even serviceable in college. How in the world, and I get it, we've seen guys, the most notable example was Tom Brady, who wasn't great in college. He was solid, he was solid at Michigan. But obviously some guys will play better in the NFL, but not, Rob, 1 touchdown, 13 picks.
That don't even make sense.
That's all you got to say.
How did you even get to play that long, Chris, to have that many interceptions? You know what I mean? Like if you're the coach.
I don't think it was that long. I think he was just throwing picks left and right. He only had 1 TD. But yeah, so why are you going to him? You thought he was the answer?
And then Chris, they give him 2 starts, and then they release him.
Right. He can't even stay on the field.
Right.
And they just signed Brett Ripien. Okay, wow. The guy from the Rams you should have went after was Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Come on. They have really, and Rob, I don't think they should fire Robert Saleh. He's a defensive coach, and I get it. He's the head coach, and he coaches, he's responsible for the whole team. But the defense is very good, and these guys still are playing hard. He does seem to me to have the respect of the players. So I'm fine with him, but I will say, Rob, the mismanagement of this situation, and I think it's come from higher than him. I don't know if it's Joe Douglas. I don't know if it's Woody Johnson, but the mismanagement of this thing has been a joke. I mean, they look like some village idiots the way they're going about this.
When people ask why the Jets are a bad organization, Chris, and they're snake bit, they have bad luck, and all this other stuff, you're not that bad that long without there being a reason why. I've said that about the Lions for a long time. Making the wrong hires, Chris, firing Jim Caldwell.
When he's 9-7.
Right.
Twice.
And I remember Bob Quinn was the GM there, Chris, and got up there at the podium before they hired Matt Patricia, and when they fired Jim Caldwell, you know what he said? 9-7 and losing in the playoffs isn't good enough for us. That's what he said.
They haven't won 9 games since.
I know.
Right? They will this year.
But you know what I mean, right?
Or 9, yeah, they're 9-3 now.
But
they were 9-8. My bad, 9-8 last year.
But with Patricia, they won 9 games total in his tenure in Detroit, something like that.
Right. And Caldwell, Rob, they made the playoffs 2 out of his 4 years.
Yep.
I mean, for Detroit, that's really good. So yeah, I agree. I mean, they look ridiculous, and they have ruined a season. It wasn't just Aaron Rodgers' injury; it was the way they responded afterwards that ruined their season.